Today we're testing 4 different jump starters of different sizes and differing price points on different engine sizes of cars. Because why would you store this thing in the trunk of your car when you could just throw this in the glove box? Because you don't want to get stranded. That's why. So today we're going to test and see how these actually work and what size cars they actually work on, despite what they may say in their marketing. So here's what we're testing. First, I have this. This is made by Cat. They sell it at Costco. It's a different model than what they were selling last year, which we tested in a previous video. So I'm curious to see how this one compares to that one. It's like a totally different shape and everything. This is the VTOMAN. This was from our video last year. It's the VTOMAN X7. And this, I'm just gonna let the cat out of the bag. This was our winner last time in terms of function plus value. So reigning champion, I guess. We'll see if any of the contenders can beat it this time. This is the LATIT power supply. This is another Amazon special that you can get. I've never tried this one before. This one was handed to me by Nathan here, and he's like, I got this. Let's see how it compares. I'm curious. This is the other one they sell currently at Costco. This is a Type S. It's small. I'm curious to see how well it holds up in comparison to these other ones. But if it works well, gosh, that's awfully convenient, just the size, the form factor. All right, so let's dive into a few things. The most important thing is the actual test on the cars to see how well they work. And so I'm gonna walk through each of these real quick and show you some of the things that I like and don't like about each one. And then we're gonna dive into the real world testing. So number 1, we have, again, the Cat. This one here, I do like that the jumper cables are actually connected to it. And they just clamp here onto the back. So when you're putting it away, that's pretty handy. And it's just all there. I mean, it might be kind of nice if they disconnected like the other ones do, but I'm also just not gonna lose them because they're totally connected. And then this, it has an air compressor built in, which I also love. And this just stores inside here, just kind of rolls up and goes on the inside. It's also got a spot here on the back where it actually comes with one, but it's just like a little needle for filling up like balls and stuff. So you can also pump up a basketball with that. It all just stores right there. It doesn't have a separate case that it all goes in. It is the case. The whole thing is the case, which I guess kind of has pros and cons. One thing I don't like about it, and this is true of all of these, it's got a big battery, right? It's a power supply in addition to being a jump starter. But in order to charge it, it just has the little USB-C charging port. It doesn't have like a separate charging cable that could just plug into a 120 volt outlet. With the little 5 volt charger, you basically have to plan on giving this thing several hours to charge up. This one is also physically just the largest. It feels really sturdy. If I drop this thing a few times or whatever, I think it's probably gonna hold up just fine. It also has a little flashlight on the back. So on the front, there's all these buttons here. I can press the battery button and it'll tell me how full the battery is. I can press the little LED, there we go. It's got an LED button on the back. And it's a flashlight that does a little bit. And then it's got the built-in air compressor. Now, I did test that out and it works fantastic. Actually, I love that capability. I use this one for that way more often than I use it as a jump starter. So your tires are a little bit low. Whether you're on the road or you're at home getting ready to leave, it's just way more convenient for me than pulling the air compressor out of the garage and pumping it up. But it's just convenient to have that just in my car. And it uses up some of the power, but not so much that I could fill up my tires a bit and top them off and still have plenty of juice left for a jump. So I love that. This just is physically the largest, so it's gonna take up the most space. All right, let's talk about the VTOMAN. In terms of the size, the form factor, for what it can do in terms of what it's rated for, how many amps of jumping, how much battery capacity and stuff. This is more convenient. It takes up a lot less space than the Cat, as you could see there. So I love that about it. I just keep this in the back of my car. It's certainly too big for a glove box. Just like the Cat, you have to charge it using just a little 5 volt USB-C port. It does have, it's cool for the air compressor. It has different modes so if right now it's on car mode and it defaults to 36 PSI, which is kind of a typical pump up pressure for a standard vehicle. But then it also has, oh, that was the SUV size. This is the smaller car size. It's defaults to 34, and then I can just use the plus or minus buttons to change that. So +1, -1. But then I can swap it over here. Oops, that's the power button that turns it on. I can switch it over here to bicycle. For bicycle, it defaults to 44. For honestly, like on a bike, it really just depends on the type of bike. This will go up to 160 PSI. So even my road bike that I fill up to like 110, this will work for. I just need a little adapter for the air hose so that it'll work with the press to valves. It does have a little light. And that one, I don't know, it doesn't do a whole lot more than that cat. It's just a little bit of a flashlight, which can be helpful when you're rummaging around in your trunk. One thing that's very different about it, obviously, that you can see is that my air hose and my jump starter cables are not physically connected, which I think has pros and cons. It does come with this soft case. Honestly, I don't love the case. And it also does actually here come with a couple of things, a little air hose nozzle, so you can just like literally just spray out air. It comes with the like ball needle. This here, just a little extension or something. I'm not sure quite what that is. But for this, I don't love it. The big area that this fits into is bigger than it needs to be for that. And then the little pocket that the other stuff fits into, I feel like is a little small for the other stuff. Like the cat, it's also a power supply. It has a USB out port, so you can charge stuff. It's 5 volt, 9 volt, or 12 volt, just depending on, I guess, what it is that you're trying to charge with it. But a USB out so that you can plug in. It also has this other power out, 15 volt, 10 amp outlet. I don't think it came with a cord to plug into that though. And I've had this one for a little while. I've used it a lot. You want to talk about durability. It's pretty dang durable. And the reason I know that, you might be able to tell if you look closely that it's a little bit scratched up. That's because I've used it a lot to top off my tires, and I have ADHD. And so one time, you know, I hooked it up to one of my tires, I turned it on, I ran inside to go grab something else, I jumped in the car, and I drove off. I didn't get very far before I realized what I had done. Barely pulled out of the driveway and started to pull forward, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm dragging that thing. I picked it up and it's got some scratches on it, but I've used it a bunch of times since, both the jump as well as the air compressor, and it's been working great. So I'm pretty happy with that. Next, let's move on to the LATIT. This one is a lot like the VTOMAN. I guess size-wise, the actual device is similar in size, actually very, very similar in size. It's even a little shorter. But it also comes with this hard case, which I actually really like because it fits the cables and everything in it just right. It has, you know, your air hose and everything here. And it all just fits in there nice and snug. And then when it's all zipped up and put together, like it's similar in size to the cat. Maybe a little bigger, I don't know, about the same again. So even in the case and everything, it's similar to the cat, but I kind of like that if I'm just using it as an air compressor, I don't have to carry around everything. Durability-wise, it feels about as rigid and solid as the VTOMAN, so I'm pretty happy with that. It also has the air compressor capabilities. It has the different settings. So it's got like a ball setting that looks like a little basketball. It's got a car setting, a motorcycle, and a bicycle setting. And so it comes with these default, what the PSI should be approximately, and then you just go up or down from there, which is pretty nice. Oh, I can also change the units. So a lot of us here in the US, you know, most of the stuff we're filling up, we're worried about the PSI. But if you were to use this exact same one in another part of the world, it has bar, kPa, kilopascals, and kilograms per cubic centimeter. So if you need one of those, that's great too. It also has a flashlight with an obvious button that is clear that that's for the flashlight because it's right there on the flashlight, like that. And it's more of a directional flashlight. To me, that feels more useful. It also is way more convenient to carry around and use as a flashlight. It also has like flashing capability like that. There's your SOS, and then it's got a strobe. Oh, and then it's got a bigger light on the front in case you want something less directional and more like a lantern. So the flashlight feature is best on this one of anything I've seen so far. And then, of course, it's got your jumper cables that plug into it. We're gonna talk about the jumping here in just a minute. And then lastly, we have this Type S. This one, basically, it is a jump starter. It works as a jump starter. Other than that, it is a flashlight. And I guess it's a power bank too. So you charge it up using the same USB-C port like all the other ones. It's not quite as big as a battery, so it doesn't take quite as long to fill up, but it's also a power bank. You can plug in a USB. All of these do that. Question is, how do I turn on the flashlight? I hate when it's not obvious. You can always read the manual, but when you're out there in the middle of the night trying to figure out how to use the flashlight, basically you just hold down the power button. Very simple, easy to use. Also very small form factor, so it could fit in a smaller vehicle, it could fit in the glove box. Then it's just got this that plugs into it for the jumper cables. It does come with a charging cable. Actually, a lot of these do. It comes with a charging cable and one for a car outlet as well. So you can plug it in the car and charge it up while you're driving and then use it to jumpstart the car when it won't. All right, so now you've kind of got an idea of the different options here. Let's talk about the jump starting and what they say they're capable of doing. First, let's go to the cat. This one says it's a 2500 amp jump starter. So when it's time to actually jump start the car, when you're using the cables, it'll send a boost. Like once you start to actually turn the key, it'll feel that drain and it'll send a boost of up to 2500 amps. The VTOMAN says it will jump start up to 4250 amps. This says 4250 right on the front, right? The starting current on here on the back actually says 800 amps. The peak is 4250. I've used it to start my V8 Suburban 5.8 liter engine, which is what it says it's capable of. In fact, most of these say that they can handle up to a 6 liter V8. We're gonna test that out today because that's what I have is a 5.8 liter V8, and that's what we're gonna test these on first. This LATIT, I'm curious how they pronounce it. This one says it has a starting current of 2000 amps with a 6000 amp max, so it can like surge a little bit more. It's good to know because this one shows a peak of 6000, substantially more, and a starting current of 2000. On the cat, this one says the 2500 amps is the max. So there you have it. The max on these two is supposedly higher than the cat. And then with the Type S, this one shows a starting current of only up to 500 amps, which obviously is lower than any of these other ones. So I'm curious to see if it can actually work on my car. Now, let's also compare briefly how much battery capacity they have. Because the cat here, this shows that it has 66.6 watt hours. This one here says that it holds 31.8 watt hours, just under half of what this holds. Okay, so those are kind of the two ends of the spectrum. Let's see how these other two in the middle compare. Okay, this one, battery capacity, 88.8 watt hours. So this one has, let's see, a third again as much as this. So that one's 66, this one's 88. So this currently the winner. Let's see what this LATIT. 103.6 watt hours. So this one supposedly has the highest jump starting current as well as the highest battery capacity. So now let's see how well these actually work. So here's the test. This is my Suburban. It's a 5.8 liter V8 engine. I have drained the battery all the way dead. Like it won't do anything. I put the key in, there's no sound being made, there's no lights turning on, nothing's happening. So first let's connect up this cat. I follow the instructions. What it tells me to do is to connect the positive and then the negative. All of these told me to connect the negative to the negative terminal. A lot of times they want you to connect the negative to somewhere on the frame, but the cables on this aren't long enough to connect it to somewhere on the frame, so I guess that works. Okay, I can see once it's connected properly, on the screen it shows me that it's connected, so that's good. I need to wait for it to show me that. It doesn't work if I don't. All right, and then I just turn the key, starts right up. All right, then I just drain it all the way down again, and let's try again. This time we'll try it with the LATIT. This one, I feel pretty confident in, at least based on its numbers, so let's see how well it works.
Clicks.
Well, that one started right up too. That's a pretty good sign. Now, the VTOMAN I've used on this vehicle before. I have had it struggle before too. I don't know if that's partly because I've used it a lot, and I mean, I've had it for less than a year, but I have used it several times, and so maybe I've worn it down a bit, but it's struggled a little bit before. So let's see how it does today, directly comparing it to these other two.
Oh, okay.
Wait a few seconds. Wow, you waited a few seconds.
Right.
Gosh, I mean, it really struggled. Like, the engine like turns over, but doesn't start all the way. So I get that turnover. At least I'm not getting the click, click, click sound. I had to work hard to get it to give me a click, click, click sound. But I get the engine to turn all the way over, but not actually start. So on my V8, my 5.8 liter V8, the VTOMAN didn't quite make it. Let's see with the Type S. I honestly do not have high hopes for this. It says that it can start diesel engines and it can start up to a 6-liter V8 gas engine. I don't know about this. Battery technology has come a long way though, so let's see what we get. Okay, I'm gonna have to call that one a fail too, but it only failed about the same as the VTOMAN did. And here's the thing that I found really impressive. The one that I've had for several years that I told you like I couldn't get it to start even our minivan, that one was similar in size to this, but that one, you got 2 tries with the jumping. You plug it in, you connect it up to the engine, and it gives you like, I don't remember, like less than 10 seconds to try. You try it, if it makes an attempt but doesn't succeed, it's drained about half the battery. You get a second attempt, and if it doesn't work, your battery is dead and you're just sunk. Well, with this one, what impressed me was I tried over and over and over again. I tried several times, as you can see. The battery was still like 97, 98% when I was done with that. That's amazing. But because they didn't work on my car, I'm just gonna say I don't feel very confident. In fact, again, the last time that my car died, this one, I got it to work, but it took me 15 to 20 minutes of kind of finagling with it. I do have to make a little caveat here though. On this Suburban, the battery type, it doesn't have the big terminals on top. It's got the bolt-in kind. And so I only have this little bit of a nub to attach to, which isn't as easy to do as it is when you have like these big terminals on the top. So we're gonna test it out next on Julia's vehicle. She's got an FJ Cruiser here. This is a V6. It's got the terminals right up on the top. So this should be pretty easy. Let's see how well these work. So let's try out the VTOMAN here and see if it can redeem itself and at least start her nice FJ. And there you go. I mean, it started right up. So I feel pretty good about this for a V6, for your like smaller mid-size SUVs probably, maybe even a smaller V8 engine. I feel pretty good about that. Now let's try this one. Like I said, I'm impressed with the Type S here, but I'm still not super confident. I like it, I'm impressed. And given the like convenience of it, I mean, it comes with this like little bag. So I can, if I want to keep a charging cable in it, great. If you're like me, you probably have a handful of these in your car already. And so you maybe don't need to store this one separate, or like, I may not even need to keep these in the vehicle with me because I've already got that kind of stuff. So really, you're just keeping these things, your jumper cables and the battery itself in a baggie, throw that in your glove box or in the back or wherever's convenient. And that's gonna do the job for you. That's awesome. The only thing about this is because it doesn't have the air compressor, I don't love that. So I'm probably more inclined still, even in that vehicle, to keep something more like this. But I'm a little disappointed that given the numbers that this has, given the specs that it's provided, that it didn't perform as well, because it should have performed as well as or better than the Cat. And maybe it did when it was brand new, but it's already been wearing out with the usage over this amount of time, or it's just not capable of as much as it says it is. That to me, that is a little disappointing. So let's talk numbers here. Let's get back down to brass tacks. How much do these things cost? This one is at Costco, and as you can imagine, it's less expensive than the others. It doesn't have an air compressor on it. And so this one is, I mean, right now when I bought it, it was just under $60. This one I bought at Costco as well, and this year it's currently at Costco, at least here locally, for just under $100, $99.99. These two are both available on Amazon. I will go ahead and link to them because I do think that they're both a good option. So let's talk about how these compare in price to that. Because given that they're like a brand that doesn't have as much name recognition maybe as Cat, And you know, these are on Amazon where there's lots of other no-name brands. This one right now I can get on Amazon, and it depends on the sale, it depends on the day, depends on where you live. Amazon pricing, they don't usually want us sharing like, it costs this much because the pricing just depends on so many things. But approximately costs exactly the same amount as the cat. Currently I can get it for just under $100. By just under, I mean a penny under, $99.99. So that's the current price I can get it for on Amazon. You might want to check it and see, because if it's on sale, it could be substantially less expensive or it could be more expensive than that. And so you might determine that this is a better deal, but honestly, as of today, if I have the choice, I'm probably going with the cat over this one. So what about this one? This one was like the most OP, right? This one had like the greatest battery capacity. It's got the most like jump starting, actual starting amps. So, and this one and the cat both just like lit up my Suburban. This one is currently, again, it depends on the day, depends on what sales are going on, depends on what coupons there are, especially if you're watching for like Prime Day deals or something. This one's showing up right now for just over $78. So in terms of value for what you get, this is my winner. And in terms of overall capability, this one is at least a tie with the cat. I do like I like the case and stuff here. Everything just fits neatly in a case and sort of just packs away and can just hang out in my car. Maybe you might think this is more convenient for you. I like the flashlight on this one better. There's a lot of things I like about this one better. There's one thing that makes me consider the cat as well though. You can buy it at Costco. And since you can buy it at Costco, if this thing stops working on you a year from now, guess what? You can take it back. If it stops working for you 3 months from now and you get it on Amazon, you probably can't. There may be a warranty, but then you're dealing with the brand, you're not dealing with Amazon, and it just comes down to their customer service, which is something I don't yet have any experience with LATIT. So there you have it, that's my takeaway. All of these are definitely capable for certain sizes of vehicles, maybe not quite as much as they're advertised for, but if you're asking me, this is the one I'm buying in terms of its value, but I'm also a little torn because this one's from Costco, and you can always take it back to Costco and swap it out for one that's working. And basically, from what I've seen in the past, is Costco pretty much always has one of these working. The one they were selling last year, though, I think was substantially more expensive. So I'm really impressed with the price they've gotten on this year. So there you have it. These are the jump starters. I'm glad you watched this video before going and buying your own, because hopefully I saved you a bunch of money, and hopefully I helped you pick one that will actually start your car. So get out there, stay safe on the road. Thanks for joining us today on Fixter. We'll see you all next time.